most of us criminals, we did a lot of wrong. So now we're gonna be citizens. So we're gonna pay rent, we're gonna pay bills, and we're gonna try to do the right thing. Try to figure out what a normal life look like. It's something you can't figure out by yourself. You need help.
Creg Johnson is the director of Positive Directions Equals Change, a nonprofit he founded in 1993 that has been devoted to helping people in the San Francisco area. He has seen firsthand the struggles and pain taking place all over the inner cities of California. But he's also seen what can be done when you bring real solutions to problems, and how, if you put in the work, real change can take place.
Our groups, we listened to each other and we would give each other support. Out of that, we said, dang, there's more to it than this. We can't just be saving ourselves and everybody else is dying. So we started a group, and from that group, it got really large.
Today, let's sit down with Creg and hear his story and about his nonprofit and how it's still impacting and changing people's lives today. Let's dive right into American Game Changer. Oh, welcome to the show, American Game Changers in the Epoch Times.
Thank you.
So wait, tell me about your nonprofit. What's the name of it?
My nonprofit is Positive Direction Equals Change. We're a nonprofit community-based program in San Francisco, California.
Yeah, I guess that's where I would like to start, is like, where's the beginning?
It started in 1993.
Yeah.
When I graduated Delancey Street, one of the fears I had about leaving Delancey Street was, what am I going to do now that I'm out? And so I know I needed support. I needed other people that were going through the same struggles as me. So we started a men's group, where we were able to talk about the fears, the anxiety, and the trouble that we were having with working on this side of the tracks. Most of us criminals, we did a lot of wrong. So now we're gonna be citizens. We're gonna be productive, right? So we're gonna pay rent, we're gonna pay bills, we're gonna try to be in good relationships. We're gonna just not do anything. We're gonna try to do the right thing, basically, whatever that looks like, and try to figure out what a normal life look like. Mm-hmm. And so figuring that out is something you can't figure out by yourself. You need help. So our group was around just talking about our struggles, what we go through, how we deal with it, and having people that could listen. We listened to each other and we would give each other support and feedback about it. Out of that, we said, dang, there's more to it than this. We can't just be saving ourselves and everybody else is dying. So we started a group in Betrayal Hill, at Betrayal Hill Neighbor House, called The Gathering. And we invited people from the community who were struggling, who were trying to figure it out, who wanted to stay clean and sober and stay out of jail, to come to our group. And from that group, it got really large. We had no idea, but to this day, we still do the same group on Friday since 1993, and it averages 50 to 80 people in the group that come. Some of them come off and on, but most of them come all the time. And we just talk about our struggles and how we're going to maintain and how we're going to live a productive lifestyle, which is different from the lifestyle we lived before. Out of that, we decided we need to open us a nonprofit. And one of the things I always want to do is have a program. I want to have my own program, because one of the struggles I had in programs where they weren't sensitive to the needs of me as an African-American man. They wanted me to assimilate.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'll tell you what I mean by that. So it was like, when you get clean, you should go and not go back to your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? You need to go and live somewhere else. So I'm saying, what does that somewhere else look like? Well, you need to go somewhere else where you don't have to be around that stuff. I said, okay. So what about the people that is around that stuff who need to see somebody who raised himself above that stuff? So with stuff like that, you need to talk different, you need to act different. And I was saying, wait a minute now, I didn't come here to act different and talk different. I came here to stop using drugs and alcohol and stay out of prison.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like culturally, the assimilation was around and assimilate into the dominant culture, which constantly changes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To giving up my culture. And I wasn't willing to do that. I didn't want to do that. I'll do everything else you say, but I ain't giving up who I am. You know what I'm saying? So
That's fair. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
And so we started our program around that. You know, that we wanted something that was culturally specific, that addressed the needs and issues of African Americans and people of color. So we were able to, you know, after a while, we kept doing that. We got funded. We got a little nonprofit. Some technical assistance grants came out by the city. We were on this council called the Treatment on Demand Planning Council. And I know one thing about politicians. When their constituents say something to them, they have to listen. Whether they do it or not is another story, but they have to hear them.
Yeah.
So every time we had the planning council meeting, we had people in there saying, we want a program. So they got tired of us saying we want a program. They gave us one, right? They helped us get one. So they gave us some technical assistance, showed us how to open up the program and that kind of stuff. And that happened like in 2000, maybe 2 or 3. We finally got a nonprofit, and we finally got some technical assistance grants to open up a program. So we did. We opened up an outpatient program at the time on 3rd Street in Bayview. It's like in the heart of the hood, right?
Yeah.
And we were very, very successful with that for a long time. We also started working with the Sheriff's Department on this No Violence Alliance project, which was a project that they designed that they wanted us to work on that dealt with people who would not be eligible to go into a program, because at that time you had to have a non-violent history. Couldn't have any violence in your history, so you couldn't have any domestic violence. You couldn't have any assaults. You couldn't have any kind of, you know, stuff like that. And those people wanted programs too.
Right.
So being who we are, we said, that's our kind of people. We'll work with them. And so we got funding to do that, and we started doing that.
How would you describe the main programs that you guys
We got,
that you guys do?
Well, how would I describe it? I guess we do strength-based case management. We provide transitional housing.
Okay.
And currently we have a therapeutic teaching community. We also have a stabilization program for people that are homeless that they can transition to. And we have a mental health dual diagnose program that we got.
Interesting. Has there been a story that really sticks with you? Mine also your own story, but was there a story of someone that you worked with that you've helped change, or maybe didn't help change, that really just kind of sticks with you to this day?
Cedric. Me and Cedric been riding, dying with this for 30 years, and I met him. He was just out of prison. He was at Walton House, which is Health Right 360 today. And he was having a lot of problems dealing with the program, the way the program was run. And one of my friends worked there, and he called me on the phone and said, I got somebody you need to talk to before we lose him. So he said, send him over. So he came over, and we started talking. And because I had been in program, I know how he was feeling, right? About how they treat us, how they do us, how they make us think because of who we are, we not good. You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of stuff. And I said, don't believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? Sorry,
Right.
excuse my language. I said, you all right. All you need to do is stay sober and stay out of prison. You're going to be fine. You'll see. You know what I'm saying? And so we started meeting quite regularly and all that. And he got 30 years of sobriety under his belt. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, he runs 4 of the agencies that we got in that we work with. He's a real leader in the community. He's a deacon at his church. So he does a lot of stuff. Do we got issues? We all do. But outside of that, he shows up every day and does the best he can to give back to his community. And that's what we both do.
Where do you hope the future for your nonprofit? What is the next steps? What is the next mountains you guys are trying to overcome?
Well, right now, we're just trying to make as big an impact as San Francisco as we can. The biggest thing we're getting ready to do coming up is that there's an area in south of Market, which is part of Tenderloin, that's called a child family zone that is rampant with drugs and alcohol, and it was supposed to be a zone that was set up that would be free of that. It's not. So what we're trying to do is we're getting together with the Filipino community that lives there, the Arab community that lives there, the Latino community that lives there, we're there, African American community, and probation. We want the police to be involved and the sheriff's department to be involved. And we're going to go at this area and we're going to make it safe for children. We want to make it safe for children.
How do you get all the communities together? I mean, I don't have that, you know, background. How do you get different people and groups together to fight
what
that?
we had is we got a guy named Rudy who works for United Players. He's been working in the Tenderloin for a long time. And he has a relationship with other nonprofits that do the work. And we're going to bring those nonprofits together. And then, you know, and then we're going to just try to go after the politicians and push them to do the right thing. You guys keep talking about you're going to do it. Well, now we want you to do something for real. And like I said, what we want to do is we want to have the cops, the police go through there regularly, the sheriff department go through there regularly, and then right behind them, we're going to come and we're going to clean the streets. We're going to pressure wash the sidewalks. We're going to have ambassadors walk with them to talk to people. And we constantly do that enough to make it uncomfortable for them to hang out.
Is there anything that you have dealt with that you've seen that really gave you a lot of fear?
Shoot, what's going on downtown in the Tenderloin is scary. Gives me a lot of fear. I mean, I'm watching every day more and more people of color live on the streets, you know, begging for change, using drugs. I have a big fear that that's going to be what's going to happen until we ain't there no more. I mean, San Francisco, at one time, our population probably in the early 90s was like 11% of San Francisco. Now it's 3%. That's scary.
Yeah.
Maybe in 10 years it might be 1%. You know what I'm saying? So that's my biggest fear. Wow. That we have been just as much a contributor to San Francisco as anybody that lives in San Francisco, and we don't need to lose that. The Latino community don't need to lose that. The Asian community don't need to lose that. We need to all be, because all of us made San Francisco what it is. It wasn't made just by one person.
Right.
And, you know, if you make it where it's so unaffordable that can't nobody live there, you know, it's going to be bad.
100%. So on the opposite of that question, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is like what we're doing now. We're coming together as communities trying to figure out how we as a community can address this. So it's the Arab community, it's the Asian community, it's the Latino community, it's the black community, it's the white community. We're all coming together because the problem we're realizing is bigger than us. It's a global problem. It's not an individual problem. And as long as we try to fight it individually, you know what I'm saying, we're just fighting uphill. Maybe if we come together, we can make a bigger impact. And that's what's going on now.
Yeah.
That's what we're moving towards now.